I'm JBRains, and this is what I'm struggling with now. Now, I mean struggling in the positive, neutral sense. I don't necessarily mean failing with, but I mean, trying to figure out, um, working through, engaging with that kind of thing. So, these little bits are about what it is that I'm struggling with now as I try to crack the elite level of five pin bowling. For the third time in 18 months, just a few weeks ago, I slid out of my heel. Now, what I mean is, I have these nice Converse shoes that I've turned into bowling shoes with some glue and some Velcro, and you can see kind of how they work. There's the heavy duty Velcro under there, and then there's the standard Dexter's sliders and heels here. And I have an H2 because I like that very sudden deceleration. And the problem was that about 3 weeks ago during league play, I slid and my heel stayed there and my shoe came apart. So the shoe came out of the Velcro. You can imagine that sliding on that plain Velcro is pretty easy. That's like, H negative 73. And so my right knee slammed to the approach and I slid forward about 2 feet and fell over. And once that happens, I mean, yeah, the knee hurts, whatever. But the big problem is this heel going to hold or not? There's no way I can be confident in my slide and that my brakes are actually going to, stop me after a situation like that. And that not only caused a little bit of physical pain, but created a serious confidence problem like 2 weeks before a major tournament. You can imagine that was pretty tough for me. Now, when I asked around, at least one person, Kyle Young, thanks Kyle, suggested using a really, really short slider as the heel. In fact, he even suggested a Dexter S4 for a heel, which sounded ridiculous to me, so I didn't even try that. What I did instead was I took an S2 and I cut that down and I put that on my heel, and maybe that works. I remember how short a slide S2 was when I would use it as a slider. And I was hoping as a heel it would provide enough brakes to be useful. But to be frank, nah. I felt like I was Bambi on ice for the first time. It was absolutely ridiculous. Really, really uncomfortable. Far too much slide, a much too gradual deceleration, nothing that really felt like brakes. And so this was a great situation for me, not only on league night, where we're in this doubles match play league and I'm trying to win money, but coming up at a tournament here at lovely Hopedale Bowl in Oakville, Ontario, going there for the first time and feeling like I have no idea whether my shoe's going to stop me. It was, it's not good. When I got to Hopedale, fortunately, the approaches were a little bit heavy, not sticky, but provided a little extra resistance. That helped me a lot. But I still had that feeling like I was sliding a lot more than I was accustomed to. I mean, you have to understand, I've been sliding with this really sudden deceleration, this heavy braking for like 40 years. This is what I'm used to. And so this really gradual deceleration was just playing mind games with me. It felt like I was falling backwards out of my shot every single time. And if I got just a little bit of schmutz on the bottom of my shoe, a little bit of wood shaving or anything coming off the approach, a little bit of dirt, anything, then I could feel my heel just right out from under me. And that is an incredibly difficult thing to deal with at the best of times, let alone when I've only been spending about 2.5 weeks to get used to it. So, of course, I was whining about this to everyone I possibly could. And one of my dear friends and coaches, Dwayne Gilardi, tried to convince me that this was actually a good thing. He had that look on his face like, ooh, this is the good thing. I'm glad you're going through this because now you're going to slide longer and that's going to provide you with more of a margin for error for your release. You don't have to, like a 10-pin bowler, get to the end of your release and then bring your arm through at exactly the right moment and hope that those things are, hope that the timing of those two things fits together. You're going to have a lot more room for error because you're going to be sliding while you're releasing the ball, and then it matters less when exactly you stop, how exactly you stop, whether you fall out of your shot or not. Okay, Dwayne, sounds good, But from where I sit inside my body, every time I slide and throw the ball, I feel like I'm on roller skates. This shit don't work. And unfortunately, that was the feeling I had, especially throughout my first qualifying shift on Friday. I just felt like every time I slid, yes, I could release the ball. Yes, I was more or less upright when I did it, but everything felt like I was falling over. I was flopping around like Dominic Hasek. I couldn't figure anything out. It felt horrible. And most of the shots, I felt like I had to fall backwards in order to stop myself. I'm not accustomed to using my trailing leg to stop me. That's what my heel is for. That's why I buy heels. And it was a very strange thing. And I can remember several times the feeling of not only of just not stopping soon enough, but having my heel flip up in front of me as I released the ball. It was an absolutely terrifying feeling. Now, one of the things that I could do to try to combat that was to really have the thought in my mind of stability. And so every time I got up in the approach, the last thought in my mind was stability, stability. And as I started moving, I just kept repeating to myself, stability, stability, in that calm, relaxing voice. And even right through releasing the ball, all I'm thinking is stability, stability, stability. Gradually, or at least trying to convince my body to do the right thing, and gradually trying to trust my body to do the right thing. I mean, I know about the inner game of tennis. I know that my goal is to let self 2 do the work and to tell self 1 to shut the hell up. But man, was it hard. No matter how much I chanted stability, 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 my foot was still falling out, or I was falling out of my shot, falling backwards out of my shot, and it just felt weird. And it wouldn't stop feeling weird. And no matter how much I whined, it wouldn't stop feeling weird. And I kept thinking, my mind was wandering to, well, what am I going to do about my shoe? Oh, when I get back home, I'm going to get a new pair of shoes, and I'm not going to put anything on the heel this time, and we're going to try that out. Or I'll sand the heel down, or I'll take the Velcro off the heel. Maybe I need to try to buy some other Velcro. Maybe I need to try to buy some other heel. I don't know. Maybe I just need a stack of H2 heels and replace them every 3 months before they detach from the shoe. Again, not only that, but there's got to be a better way. Like, it can't be this hard. How is it that I'm the only person in the world who seems to have this problem? That seems insane to me. I should be able to figure this should be a solved problem. I shouldn't have to deal with this. And you know how it is when you start not only having the feelings of doubt, but telling yourself these horrific stories about how terrible it is. I mean, the lack of balance is hard. The lack of stability is hard. But the story you tell yourself about what that means is 10 times harder than the physical problem itself. And I really struggled to get away from it the entire shift on Friday and most of my second attempt on Saturday. Now, through my Saturday qualifying shift, Dwayne tried to act a little bit as the voice of reason, which I really appreciate him for. And he took some video of some of my shots. We'll show some of that video here. He showed me the video and emphasized how stable I looked at the line, how upright I was, how well I seemed to be releasing the ball, how far I was getting the ball out onto the lane. And it seemed like even though it felt terrible, it actually looked good. And as I was watching the video of these shots, I found it hard to argue with him. I hate it when he's right. I found it really hard to argue with him. The results kind of spoke for themselves. Yes, I was dropping my shoulder at some points. I mean, part of that seemed to be a confidence issue, but it actually did look pretty stable. It did look like it was working. And if I could believe it more, then it would work even more for me. I guess my job now is just to get used to this. I mean, part of the idea of using a slider here as the heel is because it's thinner. It's much less likely to feel all that extra pressure of my body weight trying to stop trying to break with it, and so it's much less likely to detach from the heel. And certainly I had no concerns about that for the 2 days that I was bowling on this. I bowled 16 games, and there wasn't a single moment where I thought maybe the heel was going to come off the Velcro. So clearly it solves one of the problems that I've been having. Man, it's so hard to get used to. I think finally, by the 8th game of the qualifying shift on Saturday, the very last game I bowled at Hopedale this past weekend, I started to feel not only like I could get used to the difference in the deceleration, but I also felt like I didn't have to give myself the entire approach to be able to slide to come to a stop. It almost started to feel vaguely normal. And I guess that's what I have to do next. I've got league play tonight, and my intention is to just let this go, not worry about other ways of solving the shoe problem, and just get used to it. And maybe it will be better for me. I don't know. Maybe I just need to retrain myself to feel different about the feeling of bringing my arm through at the release point while I'm still sliding. That the idea that I don't have to break, then let go of the ball. And maybe this will do what Dwayne is telling me it's going to do and give me a larger margin for error and make it easier for me to repeat my release point, even if it means that I fall out of my shot a little bit more often. The most I can hope for now to get ready for the Club Tour Timmins and the WCBT Regina Classic next month is to just go all in on this and see what happens. And so that's why I've doubled my practice schedule. Normally, I'm practicing twice a week for 2 hours, and then I have league night on Wednesdays. We're going to ratchet that up to 4 practices a week so that I can get enough reps in, maybe throw 1,000 balls on this shoe and get used to it. We're going to see what happens. I mean, really, at this point, what else can I do? Dwayne tells me that this is going to be better for my shot in the long run. I really don't know if that's true or not. He hasn't been totally wrong so far, so I suppose I should follow through on my commitment to put my brain in his hands and just do what he says and see what happens. I mean, it's an experiment one way or the other. All I can do between now and Timmins and Regina, like I said, is throw 1,000 balls on this, get used to it, and then when I walk into Midtown Bowl in lovely Timmins, Ontario, we'll just have to see what happens. So, thanks very much. This has been what I'm struggling with now. And, well, we'll see you again next time and find out what I'm struggling with next. That was dumb. That's okay.